On our Express Pro to see how thick that. It's super thick. We're pulling everything we can out of that. We originally developed this for the commercial market, and we thought $1,500 blender. Everyone's gonna. This is a commercial space only. We were surprised when we saw consumers. They would pay whatever not to wake their kids up in the morning with that Express Pro making a smoothie. And we can do that because we have the most powerful blender and we have the most advanced baffling system for the whole thing. So just to give you guys, you may never see this again, but you have that Express Pro right here, 3.8 peak horsepower. How many watts? You know, 1875 watts there. You have your Express right here. I believe that's 1,500 watts and 3.3 peak horsepower. Still extremely powerful. We're going to go through really quick. I don't want to take over. You stop whenever you like.
Oh, hey, come on, Dennis.
Okay.
That's
why I grabbed it. So there we just went through the motor. I want to go through the blades because I've been a part of the blade project for a long time. We've worked for years on this blade and it's absolutely amazing. So, this is a competitor blade, okay? This is our blade. We're talking 10 times stronger, 80% thicker, and it's actually blunt. There is a very important reason why this is blunt. Number one, it's going to drastically decrease ER visits. Almost every group I share, someone's cut themselves on a blender before. You go through, you have sick, sharp knives, and you're in a rush in the morning. It's a guaranteed disaster if you do this every morning, you know, day after day. So, another thing is the blunt tip, okay? Starbucks, it used to take them 38 seconds to make a smoothie. Blendtec came around with our blunt blade, with our 5-sided jar. 12 seconds. Industry, that is money. Time is money. It used to be more critical for the industrial, but now at home, time is money. In the morning, I personally, in 5 minutes, that's how much time I have for breakfast. You know, if you wake up late, whatever else, you can make a smoothie, you can wash it, rinse it, have it in your container, and be out the door that quick. That's why this is important. Another feature about the blunt blade. What happens when your motor is not really strong? You have to have a sharp blade because the sharp can slice through things, right? Well, with a sharp blade, it's thinner, so it's going to dull quicker. Well, if it's thin, and if it's going to dull quick, you have to make it hard. What happens when you're spinning that blade, it's thin and it's hard? It's going to break, and it does. Back in March 2014, this year, there was a major blender manufacturer, Vitamix. They recalled 177,000 blenders jars. Why? Their blades were breaking. So I personally took this blade, the engineers did. One of our engineers actually cut themselves. It was sort of humorous because he cut himself while he was testing it. But we took this and we put it in a vise. There you go. We put it in a vise, okay? Very strong vise. We took vice grips and we bent it once, twice, and it snapped, okay? We took their recalled fixed blender jar, we took that same blade, we bent it once, twice, 2.5 times it broke. So that was their solution to their fix. We took our same one because we wanted the same test. We clamped it, we put it in a vise. Not only was it 10 times stronger, 80% thicker, it was much harder to turn, but it took 28 to 31 times before it broke. Wow. Let me explain that. Yeah, great. So just to explain that, you have something called Rockwell hardness, okay? The very leading edge of our Blendtec blade. Note that this is stamped 30 times at 120 tons. Crazy amounts of pressure. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. 120 tons, 30 times to make this thing. It's amazing how much is in this blade. But that leading edge has a Rockwell hardness of 60C. That is extremely hard. That is hard as ball bearing.
What's what?
60. 60C. Internally. Okay, inside of this, well, you're like, well, if it's that hard, isn't it brittle? Isn't it going to break? Are you going to have that problem? In back, the core, the internal part of this is actually soft. And here's where the cool technology gets. We're down to 16 to 17C Rockwell hardness in back. So it's actually ductile and pliable. So now we have a leading edge that is that hard, it'll never get more dull, but you have the back that's nice and soft and pliable and ductile. So now you're able to hit rock hard. Back 15, 20 years ago, what's the hardest thing your blender will ever see? A banana or ice cream, take your pick. As time has advanced, people are finding harder and harder things. They're starting to put seeds, nuts, frozen, into IFQ, instantly frozen pieces of strawberries and bananas. Do you guys see Tom, how he's cramming that rake handle in there? Well, that's about the same as a frozen strawberry. And that's why we give that example, because you're hitting that hard of things. The problem is, as you advance technology or uses, they even put avocado pits in there. As you advance these things, your engineering needs to stay up to the demand. We at Blendtec are constantly the leaders and innovators of the blender market. We have, just to give you an example, I hate to use names. Vitamix alone has copied over 20 of our different innovations. And this past one with our 5-sided jar, they copied it verbatim because they could not get past it. 2 years ago, we got awarded $24.15 million for a patent lawsuit that they copied. And they had to cease and desist. Just to give you an example, we don't have a lot of time. I want to make sure I'm answering questions. We went through really only one or two of these guys. I can talk about them. Hannah, did you want to take over past this, or do you want me to continue?
Keep going.
Keep going? Okay. So I just want to tell a little more details of this. This is BPA free, crystal clear, so it's really easy to clean. You have that fifth side, and I'm going to talk about that fifth side really quick.
You told us about it over there.
Was that?
You told us about it over there.
That fifth side?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let me just talk a little more detail. You create a vortex. Did you talk about the vortex? Okay, and how the plunger is above it. That fifth side actually offsets the vortex, and it also turns it, so you don't get what's called cavitation. Cavitation is when it's too thick, and when it's frozen, it causes cavitation. If you look at the blade design, how it's this way, and it also has the side ends on, it's actually creating a suction. It's actually pulling it down and rotating it around. So we don't need a plunger. The problem with the plunger is when you have a crisscross blade like that, many patterns there. Very recently, Vitamix copied us and they have the single blade. They still don't have it right. Their sockets and shafts are breaking. The ball bearings coming out. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. But with the plunger, the harbors bacteria, I just had a call from someone 3 days ago. Bits of the plastic had made it into their smoothie. We have problems here. So we take that completely away. We don't even have that problem. Next, we have a capacitive touch interface, a touchscreen technology. That is a huge, huge innovation. It's rather than having dials and knobs, where if your smoothie comes out and it harborages bacteria and mold and everything else, you have to take the knobs off and use a toothbrush, and everyone's familiar with that. We have capacitive touch interface. It's touchscreen, it's sealed, so you can take your rag, if anything falls on it, you can wipe it off very, very quickly. It has a smart computer inside of it, so it's able to sense temperature, load, and speed, and times of usage. The combination of all those things allow it to also be the safest blender in the world, and also with the most control. My cousin previously had one that you have knobs, and she always put her smoothie in, and then she turned it on, and she hears her baby cry, she has to run out. By the time she gets back, it's cooked. That was her number one favorite thing, was she could push the button, run and take care of her kid, be back and it's done. We built that for the commercial space originally. We had pre-programmed cycles, and we have formulators that go through and help optimize, you know, their drink cycle. And that's where this whole thing sort of came about, was these time programmed cycles. Well, customers like that just as much. You're just as busy as at a store sometime, and you're pushing those buttons. You look at the Express Pro, I'm sure they showed you, has programmed cycles that you can stick a USB interface, and you can go through and go through all this. Hardened metal drive socket. If you notice, let me just tell you a quick story. Planet Smoothie, they are the busiest, most smoothies per day shop in anywhere else in the world. In New York, they have one. They recently converted all to Express Pros. Previously, they were replacing weekly drive sockets. Why? Why do these break? These are actually designed to break, guys. Why? Let's say you put a piece of rebar in your blender, okay? It's not going. Ours has a smart technology. It'll shut your blender off. With other technologies, it's going to keep trying because it's not smart. And either the blade breaks or this breaks. So they designed this to hopefully break before the blade breaks. And that's their solution. That's why Planet Smoothie, they were placing these once a week. That's how high a volume they were going through. Wow. Did they just off the switch?
Yeah.
Okay, one minute.
And
Keep going.
And besides the design that we survived that letter every 2 years. That's why they kind of have this grade or the blade, you know, this break before the blade breaks. Because a lot of people consume, this is a Ninja, look at how scary it is. I can just, you know, anyway, it's really scary. Look